Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The host of the Mindless Midnight Show would like to welcome you to their latest episode full of late-night humor as we explore just about anything with our very special guest. Without further ado, here are your hosts, Nick and Josh. Warning, some of the contents of this podcast may be found offensive. This podcast is not for the weak, lack of experience, and common sense, including children, unless they have been given permission.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Mindless Midnight Show. Today we have some special guests, plural guests. We have Drew, Christina, and Katie. They run a D&D podcast called Agents of Damned, and it's a D&D podcast, and I'm really excited about this because D&D is like seriously amazing. I've never played it, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up playing it after we do this episode. Anyways, how are you guys doing today?
Great.
Excellent. Yeah.
Awesome.
Fantastic, bud.
Awesome. And Josh is here, but just Josh, you can go.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, we got enough people now. I guess I can go.
I guess the first question I'd ask is how did you guys start getting into D&D? I don't know who's going to answer first. It's exciting.
For all of us,
I think we'll go in. I guess. Or chronological order, sort of. I'm the one that's been playing the longest. I started, I started playing 3.5 and Pathfinder late high school and into college, and I just got started in it. I had messed around with it, but I really got started and got serious with 3.5 when my roommate brought me to a group, and we were playing this Dwarf Paragon campaign, and I was kind of on the fence about it. Until we were chasing mind flayers, and I, as a joke, yelled out, "We come up for that ass mind flayer," but rolled a 20 on the intimidation check, so he dropped to his knees and surrendered. And I was like, "This game is amazing!" I fell in love with D&D.
I mean, awesome.
That's a good way to get into it for sure.
Right. All right, Christina, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, so I think it was probably college-ish that I started to get into it. Drew actually was playing with a bunch of his friends, and I would tag along, and it seemed kind of cool, but I wasn't sure how I felt about it. And then we had another friend come along who was playing a game that's it's called Rifts, which is kind of like D&D, but a little bit more like sci-fi. And Drew was like, "Oh, we really need another person. Please come play. I really think you'll like it." And he was like, "I made a character for you. You don't even have to do anything. Just show up and roll, and it'll be fun. I promise." And it was a lot of fun. She was a cyborg, and her name was Tia Ochocientos.
For anyone who speaks Spanish, that is a Terminator reference because I am a dork.
Yep. And that just kind of
T81.
Yeah, exactly. And that just kind of kickstarted it there from me. We got into 5e shortly after with some friends, and then we ended up in the podcast.
That is awesome. And how about you?
So mine started because just like Drew, I'm a huge dork. I went to college for game design, and
nice. That's awesome.
So my professors, there were two of which that led my group of computer science nerds, and they actually played D&D. And so for, I think, every single weekend, almost, thereabout, from the time I was a freshman in college to the time I graduated, we'd play D&D. Dropped off for a few years, and I picked up the Star Wars version with my boyfriend. We played that for a while, and then, my very best friend from high school, Jordan, started playing D&D. And he's actually the one that was like, "Hey, I want to do a new campaign. Do you guys want to come join me?" And here we are.
Wow.
And Jordan awesome. Is the main guy of your guys' podcast that we're missing out today.
Yeah. He's the DM.
He's writing probably. So
I will say Katie is underselling herself because we got together to do a campaign. And the idea of a podcast had been kind of floated around, but never really hadn't stuck. And Katie's character concept was so good and so hilarious.
Oh yeah.
that we were just like, let's do it. We gotta do it.
Well, it was our chemistry, just like the first day that we did the campaign, it was just nonstop laughter. We were constantly laughing at each other. And it was finally just like, why aren't we recording this? And then we redid that first campaign to record it as a podcast.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
So how was it? Did it feel weird redoing it? Or I mean, I guess that's the thing with D&D is you can redo it, but different things happen, you know? Like
It went vastly different once we started recording, because Jordan was wise to our shit and we were wise to Jordan's shit. And so there was like this underlying air of like, I know what you're trying to do. And he's like, do you? And we're like, do we? He's like, not anymore. You don't. We're like, oh shit.
That's awesome. So,
go ahead, Josh. We did this last time. We both went at the same time. Go ahead, Josh.
For us, me as well, and our listeners, could you guys explain, like, I guess the baseline gameplay and the mechanics of D&D and how it's played?
Drew, that's probably a best question for you.
Yeah. All right. So,
He's
D&D
a veteran.
is often, like D&D is often like described as collaborative storytelling. So you'll hear that 1,000 times over. But on a raw like gameplay point, it's like, just think of it as make pretend, but with like rules so that it's fair and balanced to an extent. There's a lot of different ways to play and a lot of different kind of groups that you'll end up with, and the vibe is going to be set by the group that you're with. You'll find one group that's very like, serious and immersed in it. It's like we are playing like Lord of the Rings Fellowship, like that's what we're doing. Yeah. And you'll find more groups that's like, my name's Tingle Finglefart. And I'm going to cast large on my dog. Boom. Like that, like, and everything in between.
Yeah.
And it's that mix of those that makes it special.
Yeah.
We had one episode where
Do you like a mechanics answer or just like the vibe?
we have one episode where literally every character is named after a mushroom. Every single character is named after a mushroom.
How many mushroom names do you guys know?
You gotta ask our DM because
Gordon did so much research, apparently.
I bet. Okay.
I'm still upset about Porta Benjamin. Porta Benjamin's name haunts me.
Oh my god.
Portobello.
Portobello.
Yeah.
So like, were you guys like tripping while doing D&D? Like, walking through the forest, do you eat it? Yeah, man.
Hey, how did you bring the
God.
forest here? That's awesome. So
I've done people to get like build like little miniature landscapes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
For these things. So
that was one question.
Mushrooms.
That was one question I had thought of. Oh yeah. I had thought of one question where I was going to ask if you guys had like music playing or like effects. Like I've heard some people have like a little smoke machine and just like waft like fake smoke around the table.
That's intense.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So there is
We
some
play like our home games and such. That was our general like mode of play. I in particular, I like painting and creating little miniatures just because like I started just because like, oh, I want a cool little representation of my dude. And that just became a very zen thing for me to just like, just have like a task that I'm not worried about like is going to be like monetarily fulfilling or am I doing this better than like someone else or something like that. And it's like, I Bob Ross it out and I get a little figurine and I was like, I think that this guy's going to be a little Genasi, so I'm going to make him blue and that's all right.
That's all right. I like that you use
little blue overalls.
I like that you use Bob Ross as a verb.
Hey, Bob Ross is a verb. He worked hard to become a verb.
I know, that's awesome. So
That's very valid.
So Dungeons and Dragons, for those of you that don't know, stands for demons and douchebags. Right? No. It's like, this guy's an idiot. No.
Maybe. I don't think I'm a demon.
I'm definitely a douchebag. But like,
I play a half demon, so
So I know with D&D there's alignments, like there's chaotic, neutral, So, what are your guys' alignments? Are you guys crazy? Super
That's
chaotic?
a good question.
In real life or our characters? Because those are two different answers, I think.
Okay.
Oh.
Let's try both.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So your characters are obviously portrayed as what you really want to be, right?
Yeah.
The rulers of the world.
So going off of my character, she's chaotic good, but she also threatens to eat people's knees if they burn down the forest. So I don't know about the meat eating part, but
Is there something I'm missing? Like, are the knees like really? Is that tender there?
Behind the
her
kneecap.
family, yes.
Well, behind
succulent.
the kneecap, you get that cartilage, you know, and just like,
Very
Savory.
chewy.
I've dabbled in I've dabbled in cannibalism. I won't go back, but a little bit of a thing. Allegedly. Yeah.
Allegedly, right.
We always have to say allegedly. That's awesome, because I was actually going to ask another question. This is kind of off the wall, but like if I was starting a character, I could just decide that I wanted to make my character have cannibalistic tendencies, and that would fly. Like I could make that happen. Like
Absolutely.
see, and that's what's so great about it.
Like,
you know, like
yeah, like you want to get like the vibe of the campaign you're like rolling with, but like I'd say about like 95% of campaigns, you go to the DM and be like, I want to make my dude be a cannibal, and I want to be way too obvious about it, but I also want his charisma to be very high so he can continue to lie about it.
Has like a necklace of toes and everything.
what is that? Oh, I found these on the beach. Okay.
Yo, is that bad guy's hand? No, it's
I got it off eBay.
Yeah,
Roll
you
it.
didn't. Yeah, you didn't.
23. It's a purse.
So yeah, you guys use dice. So
Yes. Mm-hmm.
are there predetermined charts? Like if you roll a certain number, like 1 through 5, or if it's 6 through 10, certain different things happen, or how does that work?
So the dice system is based off of a so like you get like packs of 7, and each dice represents something different. So you have the main dice, which is the 20-sided die, and I actually have them right here. I'll pull out
I can't even count to 20.
So we got this here is a 20 cent die.
20
Blood?
cents on it.
I'm sorry. They're working
Blood
all day.
splattered and all.
Is there
It
blood
is,
on it?
yes. Yeah, so this is
Wow.
my blood splattered die.
You got to be careful with those dice, man. They'll cut you.
These are actually my very lucky dice. I rolled natural 20s on them a lot, and so
Oh, they're weighted on one side? Is that what you're saying?
No, they're just.
She just admitted to cheating.
So the higher you roll on that dice, or the lower that you roll on that dice, determines how your actions go. So if you roll a 1, then that is what is called a critical failure.
Yeah.
So you tripped over your own foot and shot yourself in the knee, basically.
Wow.
And like a 20 is like it's what we call a natural 20. It's basically the best roll that you can get, and pretty much no matter what the DM wants, you've pretty much succeeded in that roll.
That's awesome. So you can be like, I kicked the guy's dog. Like, okay. And you roll it, like, he didn't care. You rolled a 20. He literally didn't care that you did that. Like, all right, moving on.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, like there's some things within reason. Obviously, like, if something's absolutely impossible, the DM could set something like a challenge rating 30. And so if you don't have enough pluses to whatever you're rolling, there would be no way to hit it. Generally, there's an agreed upon chart that's like 0 to 5 is like super easy task, and then 5 to 10. Is that right?
Yeah, like 0 to 5 super easy.
Yeah.
5 to 10 is like regular challenge. 10 to 15 is challenging.
Mm-hmm.
15 to 20 is like getting up to the point where it's like, you should probably know how to do that before you try it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That is like in the zone of things that shouldn't be possible, but like somehow still happen.
Like, you got to train to kick the dog. You can't just go
Yeah.
right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. and so Christina mentioned if you don't have enough like pluses, what she means by that is that as you grow your character, like as your character progresses in the story and levels up, they get extra like points to whatever stat they want to update. So not like what they want to update. It depends on what your class is and everything. But Saith, for example, my character, which this is I made a miniature of her.
Oh, nice.
It's
You
what
made
I've
that
been
with like
fiddling
with Claire, or
Yeah. So
That
she's
is
got a little
crazy.
little
Lots of
knife
knives.
in her tail.
Oh, should I
She's-
grab
Oh,
the
that's
mini that
awesome.
I painted up for everybody?
Do it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
Go around and grab 'em.
that is so cool.
So Saith, for example, has a plus 12 to stealth. So no matter what I roll, I will always have that 12 already
Yeah, wow.
ready to go.
So if
So-
it's like a simple task, no matter what, if it requires stealth, you got it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. That's
Unless
cool.
you roll
Whenever-
the 1.
Whenever then I still have a plus 12.
Yeah, you'd still have.
Yeah,
the
it's still a
12.
13.
Oh, that's super
yeah.
mini.
Is that too?
This is the one we'd use if we had like.
I say this every episode to the viewers, but if you're listeners rather, switch to YouTube so you can actually like see all of us, because we're all adorable and we got cool stuff to actually see.
Yes.
So I know on the Discord community there was a little figurine posted, and I think it was called like Heroes Forge, like the website was called.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
It was like a pixie. I can't remember the name of it, but
Oh yeah, so I did a one shot with another D&D group called 1 in 20 for like a Christmas winter shot, and so a one shot's pretty much like you're playing assumably one time, and that's the story is whatever happens in that one session. Now, a lot of the times what ends up happening with one shots is they become full campaigns because you're there for more than one time and you're having such a good time, it just keeps going. But this was a one shot, and so I played a character who was like this gender fluid character that I named Nikki, and he was like essentially a reincarnation of like a nutcracker. I wanted him to be kind of like a nutcracker prince style looking thing, and so we got to design them on Heroes Forge and then show them off, and it was really fun.
now are you guys are like the figurines you guys had shown, were those like made from that site and you can actually have them?
Yeah. So the figurines that I showed, we made those on Heroes Forge. So they're
That's so
also
cool.
like they're standard figurines that are like made by like Wizards of the Coast and stuff. And then there's the Hero Forge ones. I use a blend. Heroes Forge are usually like if I want to treat myself to something real nice, because you can just make whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone out there who's listening who's like, I want to make a D&D character, but I don't know what they should look like. Even if you don't like buy the mini, go on Heroes Forge and like futz around with it. It's a really good like just character creation tool.
I was looking at the site and I thought it's very intuitive. The amount of things you can change on there is amazing for not just D&D, but I mean, even as a game developer, we need help making characters. I need help making characters. Sometimes I have no idea. I draw blanks. So, I mean, you guys create them from the ground up. Do you guys give them predetermined stats, or are you able to just like max out all your stats, just like walk around like you're some like smug ass god or something?
If you
Or,
wanted
like-
to have no challenge,
So there's different rolling styles and different setups for what you're doing when you're first building a character. So a lot of campaigns will start off with your characters at level 1. And so that's just kind of whatever your base stat is, maybe with a couple of things modified because of the class that your character is or the race that your character is. And so those things may add like a 1 or a 2 to whatever it is. But usually what a lot of people do, and I know what our group does, is when you're rolling your stats, which there's 6 of them, there's strength, dexterity, charisma, constitution, intelligence, and wisdom. And so we'll roll 4d6, drop the lowest number and re-roll any ones. And then whatever those 3 highest dice are added up together, and that is a score. And then you can assign them to one of those 6, and then that score determines what you're good at. 10's kind of like average Joe. You don't have any pluses. You're not awful, but you're not good either. And then anything that's like 12, it goes like up in increments of 2 as far as like pluses, and then also down in increments of 2 for any negatives you might have. So like if you have a 12, you'd have a +1 automatically to that stat. And then there's like subcategories under each stat. So like wisdom, for instance, you might have like animal handling or nature or survival or things like that, because you'd have to be very wise to be good at those things.
Now, one thing that makes all this much easier to keep track of is the old and people love analog and they love pencil and paper. I am a little bit of a blend of the new and old school. There are apps out there that make this so very easy. I operate off an app on my phone. I was I plug my stats in, and it just tells me what everything else is. And I was like, "Thank you, app."
Yeah,
when
that's
it's time to level up. I tell the app it's time to level up, and it tells me what I can have.
Yeah, that's really cool. That is really cool. That definitely makes it a lot easier for people that are just you don't know a lot about it, but you know enough to get going. Probably somebody like me. And then the app would help me figure it out as I went with how to character develop. That's cool. I really like that.
Yeah. What was the app called? Because if I'm recommending it to you.
How many campaigns would you guys say you've all played?
Just for this podcast, we're at episode 26.
Of one campaign.
Well, sessions. Yeah, so those are sessions. But as far as campaigns in general, I feel like I've been a part of 5 or 6 probably now. Most of them haven't been as long as this one has. This one's actually been one of our longer ones. I would say just because they either fizzle out naturally because everyone stops being able to hang out, or the session just ends, or you lose track of how people are doing, or someone moves away, or one of I guess the pluses of the whole situation that we're in worldly right now is that a lot more online options have become available. So there's Zoom, there's Google Meets, there's everything else, and so it's become easier to have online communities that get together and play, which has been really nice.
That's true. I mean, technically, we would all be able to play right now if we all had our shit. Oh yeah. That definitely makes it really cool. So
a couple of friends and I used to do campaigns. We were waiting in line at amusement parks or at conventions, and we would just decide things based on all right, rock paper scissors against the DM.
Yeah.
So just a quick and dirty version of D&D. It was pretty fun.
The good old days of Roll20.net.
Yeah. I think I have heard somebody. I think we had a guy on here that we talked to, and he plays D&D, and he talked about I think that site Roll20.net where you can just group with people randomly whenever and just play a game.
It's really cool, and you can do maps online there too. So if you're one of those people that's not good at theater of the mind and you need to see how far away things are, it's kind of nice since that gives you an option.
Wow. Yeah, that's really cool. Man, somebody made a lot of money off of that.
I bet.
Yeah. It'd be really amazing if you could level up in real life. I bought a car and all of a sudden there's a little beam. Whoa, and you're like, oh my God, it's happening. Yeah. And then you're like, okay, +1 luck. And then you walk out and it's like, holy shit, a 20. What?
See, we do level up. We do level up as people. So I am currently at level 27, going on level 28 in 2 days.
Oh,
hey!
But the higher your level
happy
gets,
early birthday.
The higher your level gets, the stronger your brain gets, but the weaker your body gets. So it's
exactly
a cruel joke.
Up to a certain point, it starts going down for both.
Yeah, that's true. I'm level 90. Okay, all right, Grandpa. You did great, I guess. That's cool.
We didn't used to have the television. We used to have everything on the radio. All right, cool.
We played D&D with sticks and rocks.
Yo, did you hear about that thing? I heard about online that they found D20s in Egyptian tombs. And I was like, yo, ancient Egyptian nerds. Yes.
I love it.
So that means that we could have been introduced to D&D by aliens.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
I believe it.
Why is it, Josh, we always end up bringing up aliens in every single show we do? Somehow
awesome.
It comes up. Now,
here's the question. Is it Josh bringing the aliens up, or is it always Nick bringing the aliens up? Because then I think we have the answer there.
I think it's me.
I mean, I don't know. It's probably 50-50. We both love aliens. We talk a lot about aliens. We do.
That's true.
Maybe we do have a little alien fetish or something.
So as far as a little bit, Josh more so.
Yeah, maybe.
But
we should do an alien, an alien campaign or something.
That'd be
it's
weird.
Possible.
Weird. We should have.
They're canonical aliens in D&D. I just realized that.
Yes, there are.
Wow, really?
You rolled a 2. You get a face hugger.
Yankee, the Githzerai, the mind flayers of aliens. Like
that's cool.
Fucking aliens in D&D.
That's amazing. How about a D&D campaign about being a good father?
Wow.
That's actually a thing. Yeah.
That's one of our favorite podcasts right now.
Oh, really? That's a thing.
Dungeons and Daddies.
Yeah.
Dungeons and Daddies.
The full title, Dungeons and Daddies, not a BDSM podcast.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, wow. Is it like as crazy as I'm thinking, where it's like your daughter trashed her bedroom, roll a 6? Like,
it's so much more than that. You can't understand. You have to. It's one of those things you have to experience yourself to understand what's happening.
wow. Okay, I'm really glad I asked what I thought was a dumb question. So that's cool.
No.
There are no dumb questions in D&D.
That's the fun thing about D&D. Like you can sarcastically be like, haha, is there this thing? And I'm like, yes, here are the stats.
Actually, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I
is
guess
there a giant house with chicken legs? Yes.
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 Baba Yaga's house.
Is there a
Christina-
yes, and I will make you fight it.
Christina actually DM'd one of our episodes where we had to fight. Oh God, this might be spoilers. No, wait, holiday episode. It already came out.
already.
Spoiler
warning if you haven't
we had
watched the
to
holiday
fight.
episode yet.
Right.
We had to fight a evil goose. Was it?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
Goostra.
Goostra.
So did this thing like shoot eggs out of its butt like really fast?
No,
or,
but
like...
it should have.
And it had a Santa hat.
It was canonically made of pure hatred,
Yep.
Oh, geez.
as most geese are.
Most geese are.
I mean, I did not know that about geese.
Well, they do chase people sometimes, so you know.
Yeah, I mean, I never really like try and walk. I'm not a big fan of birds, to be honest. So
Yeah, where I used to live, I live in Texas now, but I lived in Iowa for 3 years, and there are geese everywhere there. And like I would go jogging, and sometimes they would like chase me, like
Evil.
yeah.
I've had a grudge against geese ever since when I was a kid. One ate my sandwich.
oh,
Rude.
Have you
I don't
ever
want to take it too much on a tangent, but if
ever-
you're willing to hear this fucking ridiculous ass geese story, it's a short one.
absolutely.
Yeah, let's do it.
Did you
Let's do it.
please tell me you like wrung its neck after?
I mean, it gets to the point. So I'm like, I have to be in like 4th or 5th grade at this point. And we're at this like little field trip where like they just took us all out to the park. And I just remember this moment like so clearly because you know when you go on a field trip with your class in elementary school, you can either have the shitty lunch that they give you or your parents can love you and make you a lunch. That is the dichotomy. If you're parenting, you have to make your kid a lunch. And so my mother made me a lunch. And I remember because she made me a peanut butter and strawberry jelly sandwich. And I never got to have that because it cost slightly more than regular jelly. And she was like, oh, he's got something for you. So like, here, we're going to make that sandwich for you. And I was like, oh, yes. And I like spent all day at the park thinking about that goddamn sandwich.
Ready for it.
We sit down on a little picnic blanket and we're all adorable children. And like I take a bite of the sandwich and I put it down. I look at the sun and I was like, life is good. It's clear out, beautiful day. We're in nature. Got my sandwich. Look over, sandwich is in there. I look slightly over again. Goose has my sandwich in its mouth and it looks at me and I look at the goose and the goose looks at me and look at the goose. And I, with my little child fist, I punched that goose.
Yes.
Nice.
I punched the goose. And you might be thinking like, oh man, like how did that go? Did like the geese swarm you? No, he like squawked and dropped the sandwich and then like ran away and then into the lake. And it seemed almost like the other geese were watching him like, Frank, don't do that. It's a bad idea, you idiot. And then when he got in, they like looked at him like I told you so. And just I remember telling the story of another time and my friend got so mad at me, like, oh, why'd you do that? That's not fair. You hit the goose. That's not like fair to them. I'm like, oh no. I didn't use my superior human brain and construct some kind of weapon to capture the goose. I punched it with my fist. The goose can fly. The goose could have flown away and had the sandwich, but it didn't because it was a dumb goose.
That's true.
No, it was a cocky goose and all smug, like, yeah, I got your sandwich. What?
Yeah. I didn't look surprised. I was like, I didn't think he would do it. I was like, yeah. Don't eat my sandwich.
Your next D&D character that you decide to make, you need to name him Gallium the Goose Puncher.
Just has like a whole belt of gooses rung around.
I'm putting that in the vault.
Oh yeah. Be like, should we enter the cave? If there's gooses to punch, we will. Like, whoa.
So you said he dropped your sandwich. How come you didn't finish it? You didn't like rip off what?
I'm not eating a goose sandwich.
Like you just gotta like rip off the little bit that he got in his mouth and then like eat the rest. I don't. 5 second rule. 5 second rule. Is that not?
And then you gotta stare.
I'm on this, Drew.
And then you gotta stare at the goose. You gotta stare at the goose like this.
Yeah, you gotta show it that like it didn't bother you.
Fucking man. Dog the goose.
Like you didn't disrupt my day. I'm still eating.
It's like, so what? There's some dirt in it. I got it. It's mine.
Yeah. Oh man,
awesome. That's great.
Like you just like cough, feather flies out. That's a big deal. That's crazy. So how did you really feel after punching that goose though? I have to know. Like
that's a
I was
rare
like little,
sensation.
so I think I cried about the sandwich.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay.
I was like, at that age where like I was old enough to be like, I don't want to cry in front of my friends, but also young enough to be like, my sandwich.
Yeah.
Feel the whole thing.
No love for the goose, just the loss of a sandwich. I feel it. I feel the pain.
That's the struggle. Once you get into like kindergarten, you start being like, all right, I don't need to be crying in front of all these people. But then you're a kid still, so then you're like, you okay? Yeah.
You do that like that face. Like your face is all red. There's very clearly already some tears coming out, and you're like, "You're fine." Like, I'm good. I'm fine.
Did you guys have the parents that were like, "Stop crying. You're ugly when you cry"? It's like, okay.
Oh, made it worse.
Stop crying.
The rub some dirt on it, or like cry about parents.
Yep, yeah. I got that a lot.
Yeah, me too. I also had, I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but my older brother did some really messed up stuff to me because I was crying in my room one day because my mom yelled at me for not cleaning my room when I was supposed to. So I'm sitting there and I'm cleaning my room and I'm like, yeah, clean this. And then my older brother, who's like 4 years older than me, he like opens the door and he's like, hey. I'm like, hey, and he starts taking shit and throwing it on the floor off of my bookshelf. He's like, clean your room,
oh, no.
clean your room, clean your room, clean your room. And then leaves. I'm just like,
that's what older siblings are for.
Yeah, well, he got what's coming in. He's dead now, so. I'm kidding.
Oh, man.
I'm late to ask this. I can say fuck though, right?
Oh yeah.
I have to say fuck. I was like, man.
Oh man, that got me.
And I only say that because I know he would be laughing his ass off at this stuff.
So
I listened to your episode where you guys had the psychic person on. I was like, they did not mention your brother was dead.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was a crazy episode, man. Holy shit.
Yeah, that made our gears turn.
Oh yeah, boating accident.
Yeah. Well, guys, we are gonna take and by guys I mean people listening and watching. We're gonna take a very quick break, and then we're gonna be right back in very, very, very quickly. So don't go anywhere. You don't have a choice.
You had like confirmed yourself as if you were making sure you didn't call any of the girls guys. So like only our listeners guys?
No.
All right, I'm just making
Quit trying to make me dig a hole.
All right, we'll be back.
Okay, we'll be right back.
No, Amy, wait. I know it's not the night you had in mind, but why don't you guys stay and play with us? It'll be fun.
Fun? Yeah, okay, 3 weeks ago you bought crunchy peanut butter, but now you want the girls to play D&D. Do you have a drug problem?
What's the big deal? Raj bailed, so we could use some extra players.
Well, I've just never played Dungeons and Dragons with girls before.
Oh, don't worry, sweetie. No one has.
Hard. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Mindless Midnight Show. We're still here with our D&D guests, and holy shit, we're having a lot of fun. So, one question I was going to ask you, as I got a chance to see y'all's logo before we got online, and did you design that yourself, or did you guys have that made?
Yeah, no. So actually, Jordan's wife, Chelsea, does a lot of awesome designs and graphic art. And so she actually did our cover art. And so we love her. And she's also recently started doing a graphic t-shirt business. It's called Black Feather Apparel. Yeah. Used to be Black Feather Graphics, but it's Black Feather Apparel. Katie's actually repping one of her shirts because she's an awesome friend.
Another reason for y'all to watch so you can actually see. Yeah.
But it's lots of cool edgier designs that aren't like normal graphic t-shirts you might find. So
awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah,
we're gonna have to check that out.
So there's a shout out there. So I have a question. What's the longest session you've ever had that you can recall?
Probably 3.5 hours. I think it was your holiday episode.
Oh, so it was recent.
Okay.
It ran long.
Okay, all right. But how about those other sessions we've had with friends that were like 6 hour long? You order bags of Taco Bell and you don't even remember what you bought anymore.
Oh my God, with like freaking
That sounds like a good time.
Like taking a day. I forgot about that. Oh,
that
D&D,
epic.
tacos.
Dude.
Yeah, we used to just like have like D&D Sundays, and we would just like freaking we'd order like Taco Bell and Chinese food and stuff, and we would just take the day because we were in college. We didn't give a fuck.
Dude.
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh man, that took me back.
Welcome to the vault of your memory. Yeah.
And I was like, man, where did we go? What happened to us?
Age. I feel it. I'm 30 and I'm just like, man. No, I'm not sad.
Oh, I'm the baby here, I think.
How old are you then?
I'm only 25.
Oh, you are a baby.
Only.
Wow. Yeah, you are the baby then.
I don't want her to be the baby because then that makes me even older sounding. I'm only 30. I mean, I still skateboard and, do dumb shit, kind of.
Yeah. I feel like it's been downhill.
Better, I'm 45.
Okay.
No, you're not.
I was like, no.
I was going to say, no, you're not.
Like an uncomfortable silence of like,
Hey, no fucking way.
Drew, I got to let you know, bro.
Are you Benjamin Button?
Drew, I'm not allowed to talk to you, man. I gotta go.
The podcast just abruptly ends. And that's all the time we have for today, folks.
Yeah, no, clearly you have found a fountain of youth if you are 45 then. No, actually, I had my birthday 2 days ago, and I just turned 28.
Belated birthday.
So me and Caitlin are the same age at just like 4 days apart.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. So a question I have about the style of y'all's dungeon master is, I'm assuming like he really like loves to write. Otherwise, why the hell would you try to do what you do? How gruesome does it get? Gory.
Oh yeah.
We've only actually had like 2 or 3 deaths on the series as a whole.
I had like 2 or 3 deaths that mattered.
Yeah.
That mattered.
Well,
that's the key.
All those other people, who cares?
That's forgot what you did to that one goblin. That got kind of dark.
That got, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so Jordan does love to write. He's actually writing a book. I know nothing about it aside from the fact that it's apparently, I think, maybe set in some kind of Asian country. But that's all I know about it. He hasn't really talked too much about it aside from the fact he's writing it. But we actually got him this really cool looking journal as part of like a Dungeon Master like present for Christmas. And he was probably almost the most excited about that just because of how much he writes.
I bet.
Nice.
I mean, yeah, I would love that. Like, Josh and I are developing a video game, and I write the lore for it, and it's outrageous, like insane. But So
Yeah, I couldn't imagine where your brain is. You could probably write a fucking campaign.
Me? Oh, I feel like I could.
Ooh. We could make a campaign based on Guildmaster and play it with them, dude. Oh,
I know.
shit.
Guildmaster's the name of our game.
I'm into that.
So I won't say a lot about our game, but I will just say this since we're touching on it, and I kind of have to bring it up a little bit. But it's if you like video games like retro style games like Zelda, the old school Zelda. Okay. Now, a question for you.
I don't know if it would have heard me. I whispered that, but I said yes softly and involuntarily.
So, do you like games like Skyrim and Diablo as well?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay.
So what if you came across a game that looked and played like old school Zelda on Super Nintendo, but it was mashed in with features from Skyrim and Diablo?
Like they all had a good orgy baby.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in that. Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, it's basically
say give now to me, please.
Yeah, it's so there's like 30 on 30 open world battles, there's castle sieges, but it's all like you're playing an old school Zelda. And yeah, so that's what we're working on. And it's really hard. but it's coming. But anyways, we'll talk about that at some other time.
Having gone to college for game art design, ooh, I feel that.
Yeah, we definitely want to. We're gonna have to like talk to you on the side, like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, right. Yeah, no kidding. So, what's an example of a campaign, or like I guess I could say, like, what's the example of a quest or something that you would be doing, like partaking in?
So,
like general campaign or
for agents sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, when you start out, you're here. What is your objective?
I guess that depends on the campaign, right? Everything has a different objective.
So just like an example of one of them.
All right, so like a basic like adventure could be like, hey, you show up in this village because you're just kind of a traveling adventurer, and there's like their food has been getting stolen by goblins. They know where the cave is at, but like they can't fuck with the goblins. Like, go check that out. Okay. And it can range to like what our campaign is, which is like, hey, the world is like magical as all hell, and like to like regulate it, there's a system of like checks and balances in play, and you're a part of one of those balances called the Agents of Damned, who stop crazy disasters from happening before they like get to that point. So like we'll get things like, hey, the Thieves Guild is hoarding too much wealth. A dragon could roost on that. Like, go check that out.
And then a lot along the lines of like Skyrim, you could have like a main mission, but as you're going through that main mission, you get the side quests. Yeah. So when I was playing my Star Wars campaign, I was a fighter pilot whose son disappeared after Order 66. And so my main mission was to find him. And so she was searching the planet for him, but while she was looking, she got caught up in a battle between the rebels and the Empire, and ended up having to race away from the Empire over the city, and got seen by this race car management company that was like, hey, come race for us and we'll pay you. So like it just kind of devolved into that. Yeah. So exactly.
I love that so much about RPGs and video games, and obviously Dungeons and Dragons, because it's like, it's so funny because you have this main storyline, but then somebody's like, I can't find my pot. And you're like, I'll help you. Like, you don't want to go try to find your son? I'll do that later. This lady needs her pot. She needs it now. It's like,
and she also needs to split it with me because
That's
all
so
right.
funny.
So how are we gonna boil the water? It's just gonna fall out the other side.
Yeah. Like, you twisted it, and then you twisted it.
So would it?
No, buddy, no.
Would it be bad to be someone who really wants to explore like every aspect of the campaign, or like are there some quests that are just there to totally bone you and just like stop you dead in your tracks?
Absolutely.
See, that would I'm gonna be the first one off every damn campaign now. I'm like, ooh, you got trinkets? I'm like one of those like, ooh, shiny thing.
There was one mission where Jordan had actually planned to what we call getting downed. He wanted us to fall below our HP level so we would pass out. But we actually surprised him, kicked ass, and saved the day. And he was not, like, he had to change the narrative to fix it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I would say kicked ass. More like our asses got kicked while we ran away, but we managed to run away, and his character almost legitimately died, but came out riding something else that I don't want to talk about because it's a really big spoiler. But yeah, it was definitely surprising, I think, for him. And there's other times we've definitely completely avoided parts of a plot that he's wanted us to go for. Like, hey, there's these characters that we want you to go talk to so you can have access to them. That episode hasn't come out yet, so I'm not going to talk more about that. But we've done that before too.
I will say, to give like a good example of like, because I DM'd our Halloween campaign. And I'm sure this has been out long enough, but I'll still say like spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't heard the Halloween campaign yet. There's a particular encounter that like I spent like so much time like planning, and I was like, all right, so I'm gonna like they're in like this monster dance hall, and like they need to get up to the stage, and like I'm gonna make them roll like dexterity or athletics to get through this mosh pit thing, and I spent the time figuring out the mechanics for it, and then our DM and my good friend Jordan goes, hey, I'm going to cast Catapult on our friend here and shoot him over the crowd.
I cast Yeet this person.
Oh, God, I forgot that's a thing. And so it circumvented like several hours of work.
Oh, my
Yep.
God.
But it was it made for, I know, I guess, I want to say it made for great TV, but it's a podcast, so great radio?
Listening?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I great listening, but I was like, oh, God, no.
And like we steam behind
drank
the
my
scenes.
tears.
Like we will know something is coming, and then like Christina will be texting me all throughout the night because she does not sleep with all of these little hey, what if we did this? What about this? Can we do this? What about this? This, and this might also work. And it's like, okay, yes, we can try it. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So do you guys have any like most craziest stories or anything, the craziest thing that has like ever happened in any of your sessions or campaigns in general?
I think, go ahead, Drew.
Oh, no, you go. I've got a couple of good ones. Two come to mind. They're my favorites, but I won't step on your thing.
I think there's two that come to mind for me, and they're both from campaigns from when I was in college. The first one being I had a absolute crap animal handling skill, but I still managed to roll a natural 20 and get a pet bear instead of having to kill it.
Nice.
Wow. That is cool. Wow,
His name was Moonpaw. He was a very good boy.
It's so that role dictated like the rest of everything, because now you had a bear fighting with you.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, and he gets his own character sheet and everything. So I like it. It's like having a second character just standing next to you. And my DM was furious because he was like, "All right, well, what's your animal handling?" I was like, "I only have like a 1 in animal handling." He's like, "Okay, well, I guess go ahead and roll for it." And I was like, I rolled a natural 20, and he was like, you have a pet bear. And I was like, yes, I do. And then the other one is we were trapped in this hallway, and it had been a trap. So like we had a door come down right behind us and a door come down right in front of us. And the door right in front of us had like this weird face on it. And I remember everyone trying to like find a lock or whatever. And I was like, is the door sentient? And my DM at the time was like, there's no way of knowing. You just know that there's a face carved into the door. and I had a really high charisma stat. So I was like, I want to threaten the door to open. I mean, I want to torture this door. I want to make this door terrified of me. And he was like, okay, go ahead and threaten the door. So it was like this whole thing. I threatened the door and the door swung right open, like terrified of me. I didn't touch the door at all. I just threatened the door and the door opened.
And
I'll put you in the wood chipper.
and the DM is just like, oh, God.
The will of the day, man.
It's open. Way to go.
I had like this battle axe. I was like, I am going to chop you open unless you open yourself. And it's like, okay.
Pulled the Shining on it.
So,
here's Katie.
hey, y'all see that in the background?
Oh shit!
Hey.
That's Lucy's Spider-Man poster. Wait, hold on. I mean, angle it.
Yeah.
And then this
boy.
is
And we
Spider-Man.
also have dragons.
Oh, hell
Nice.
yeah. Absolutely.
There's nothing.
Our whole
on the
house is
walls.
nerd art.
Now I know where you live.
Dun dun dun.
Why are
I
you
just
breathing
have-
so heavily into the
You
mic?
can't rob
I
us.
just
We're
have
already
figurines.
poor. Boo. Rap. No.
Oh, hold on.
We both lose.
It's like, man, I spent so much money on this grappling hook. Yeah.
Yeah, right? Oh, look at that. Josh is holding a Hulk.
One day I decided to give Hulk some nipple rings
Oh, yeah.
with my staple gun, because why not?
You're
I
like,
think
Interesting.
I think
like
they
a
came
damn
out great.
child.
I am, but I think they came out great. I'm not lying.
They did. They did.
Shit. I ain't top of shit. Hold on.
Oh boy.
Hold
Oh
on.
boy.
Hold
Oh
on.
no. Oh no. What have you
Oh, wait.
started?
I thought he was about to show his nipple rings.
I did too. I was like,
Like,
Slide low.
Okay. Yeah, that one's good.
I thought that was
Whoa,
about
and
that.
Oh shit.
wait, hold on. I can do you one better. I'll be right back.
Oh,
Oh,
dude.
this is amazing.
I'm afraid.
This is like competition right here.
While Katie's doing that, I'm gonna go back to the story of like the stuff that we've done. So
Oh shit! Yeah.
yeah.
For the people who are listening via audio.
Because my thing can't top Drew's because I know what his is, and I don't want to get outshined because it'll be nothing compared to that. But I think mine probably was one time I was playing a tiny little gnome character, and it was this continuation because we kept having all of these campaigns that had gotten cut short, and I was like, I don't want to keep making a new character every time, so I'm just gonna make a character that's slightly different each time. And so
Yes.
it started off with Leanie, and then it went to Meanie, and then it went to Miney, and then if there was ever a fourth campaign, there was gonna be Mo. They were all gnomes and technically all related, but Meanie was a little gnome swashbuckler rogue, and she was in a town that was technically racist against gnomes, and she was in the port, and she overheard someone's like call her like a racial slur, and she was like, oh, I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna have her stab this guy in the kidney, and the guy was like, what do you mean? You're just gonna straight up stab him for insulting you? Yeah, she's not gonna take that. She's in her own home port. She's got to show up for the rest of the pirates, obviously. And
Right?
it rolled so well, and no one saw it happen. It was great.
Wow.
The best part is the prestige of that moment where like we had split up the party a little bit, and so like later on, my character is like on like a side adventure in like a church, and I was like, let me roll perception to see what's going around. You do see a guy who seems to have been stabbed in the kidney, and he's like really feeling it.
Oh my god.
Yep.
This has got to be the most entertaining episode. I mean, we got freaking pilots, we got stormtroopers, we got it all here.
I know. So I mean, you guys really.
No, sorry, I have not. I've only seen episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not in that order. I watched them in the order they came out. Don't worry. I watched them 4, 5, 6.
Those are all
1, 2,
the
3.
Star Wars that happened.
That's how I feel. I don't care to watch anymore. But everyone is pushing me to watch The Mandalorian. And
It's
The
good,
Mandalorian
yeah.
is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife and I watched season 1, and then we didn't get season 2 yet. I mean, we will. It's on our list. You know.
Yeah, I've been
You should.
slacking.
It's good.
Yeah,
I recommend it. It's like so freaking good.
So
it's like my craziest story.
Yeah.
Were you talking about the beans, or were you talking about
the Franks?
The rabbit.
I was thinking of the bean. Both of those are good.
The Franks.
Yes, these little like code name things. I'm gonna save the rabbit for a rainy day, but the beans is as such. So we were playing a campaign, and like my character's name was Sugos, and he was Russian bugbear man. It was like this big hairy like Sasquatch type dude. And so we finish this mission, and we get all these like crazy cool like items that are meant to help us later. And our DM at the time had intended for me to use the beans as like an explosive because they were exploding magical beans to like get us out of a cave later. I did not know this. He just gave me a bag of exploding beans.
Oh my God.
So like we get to this point where we're supposed to fight this werebear who's like an alpha werebear, and he keeps talking about, but he's like, oh man, this guy's like so strong, like, you know, some of you might die. He's gonna be like so powerful, he's so dangerous. And he was like also like a seriously like bad dude. We met this like young girl who had been like tormented by this guy, and we were like, yeah, we're gonna murder this dude real good. So we're running across this huge field, and I have not told anyone what I intend to do. I'm just running up, and I was like, don't worry, guys, I've got this. And they're like, no, he's pretty strong. He's fucking us up real good. And I was like, no, I have a plan. And I'm running up. Mind you, this is long enough apart from us getting the beans. We've fully forgotten about them. So I run up to him. I finally get up to him, and he's all serious, bad guy monologue mode. And then Sugos comes up. He's like, hello. Sugos heard you had been a bad boy. The hell does that mean? Sugos throw beans. And he throws the whole bag at them.
Oh man, I need an excuse to use my sneezing powder. I haven't used it yet.
Wow, that is insane. So the dungeon master, what is his sole responsibility? Is like he's creating the campaign. He's managing what actions are done based on your dice rolls and
narrating it all. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's God. He's playing all the characters that you meet. He's planned out the world. He's describing the scenes. He also decides like how difficult the task that you're trying to do is, like, and whether like or not you succeed based on your role. With the exception of like the universal truths of the natural 20 and the natural 1, which is just like you have succeeded or you have failed, just like no matter what. Those are like the natural 20 and natural 1 exist to represent those weird, crazy, like lucky or unlucky moments where like Tony Hawk is really good at skateboarding, but he hit the board wrong and just ate it. Or like you have no idea how to do a backflip, but someone pulled a rug from underneath you, and somehow you landed a full backflip, and then you just said, ta-da!
Yeah.
It's honestly kind of like, you know, those, when we were little, those pick your own adventure books where you could
I love those.
Go to page like 23 if you want to do this, or go to page 44 if you want to do this. The Dungeon Master is kind of like a pick your own adventure book, but if the pick your own adventure part was actively trying to change and maybe plot against you in every possible scheming way. But it's he's got like this overall thought, and it's kind of like a big circle for a plot, and we can do like lots of different things that all eventually lead back to one thing. And it's just kind of managing how that goes. And sometimes there's a little bit of railroading to get people back on track. But yeah, it's just making sure everyone has fun. And, you know, it's not just the DM's job to create the story, because the players have to be involved too. And if the players aren't involved in creating the story, then, you know, the DM's going to get burnt out. And that's often why a lot of campaigns fail. So, you know, everyone being involved and being like active and wanting to participate in some kind of way really helps the story grow and become more than what it is. You know, without certain parts of each of our characters' backstories and things that we wanted to go into, the world that is within Agents of Damned would not be nearly what it is, according to Jordan.
Yeah, well, that makes sense too, because if you try to put too much on the DM and not like really give it your all, then the DM's gonna be like, well, shit, man, I gotta do this and I gotta do this and I gotta come up with all this, and it's like shit, because I imagine it probably takes a lot to prepare for him.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like there's a lot of prep.
Drew, you've played both as just a player and the dungeon master. Is it more? Do you find it more fun just playing or being a dungeon master? Because I feel like kind of being in control might be kind of cool. You could throw curveballs at them, maybe.
It's a different like flavor of fun. It's like asking like, hey, do you like pie or ice cream? And they're both good, just in different ways. With a player, like you're it's much easier to keep track of everything. And like you're one singular person, and like it's almost like character acting in that kind of a way. But you're also like you're developing the character as time goes along, and you're focused on like what are his goals and what are their ideals, and things can happen like that'll be like crazy, and you'll completely like change the way that you look at that character just from like the outside. And from the DM side of things is that like one, it's like it's almost like the feeling of like throwing a party and all your friends show up, and then when the party goes well and they have a good time, you're just like, I did it. But also there's just like there is that control aspect, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess you can try, because the mark of a good DM is that you almost never say no. You always say you can try, because you can. But you can set the what's called the DC, or like the difficulty curve, I think. Difficulty curve of like what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you can roll for it. I've decided that you need to somehow achieve a 30, but you can do it. But it creates like a good balance there. And this like I said, they're great, but in different ways. And I enjoy both. Mm-hmm. But right now, I think Arlo's one of my favorite characters that I've played. Just this Texan dragon man that I came up with purely for a joke, and because I couldn't do a Scottish accent, which is a whole other story.
He did try. That was Arlo's original accent.
Poorly.
Can we hear it? I want to hear it.
Well, I can't rightly do a very good job of the Scottish accent. This is as best as I can do.
It's actually pretty damn good.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
But if I put this out there and then like Scottish people hear it, they'll be like, we should kill this man.
I liked it.
It's better than Saith's. Like Saith's accent is just screaming, basically. She can't lower the tone of her voice. She constantly sounds like she's surprised.
Let's hear it.
Awesome. Yeah, I want to hear it.
These are your guys' characters, right?
Hi, I'm Saith. I will kill you if you don't do exactly as I say.
Awesome. I like
so that's like Navi with like getting real mad.
She's a mixture between Penny from Ruby, and I think I said what's her name from Future Diary? I'm a nerd. I'm sorry. I can't even remember.
Hey, we all are.
I'm on the spot.
I want to make my character Hillbilly Bucky from Texas, who got somehow magically transformed into a realm of knights and dragons. Listen here, Goblin. I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm bloody pissed off.
Are you gonna have a golden plunger?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I'm a plumber in real life. So I could wield a golden plunger. It's the golden plunder. Yeah. So I like.
You sound like you get on just famously with the good Dr. Arlo Aegon as a dragon man myself. We do leave some legendary messes in the toilet. So we have need of a proper plumber.
I'll tell you right now, I'll get on down there. I don't got no shame at all. I'll do whatever it takes.
My nerd loins are fucking tingling right now.
Nerd loins.
Feel it.
That's the quote of the night. Nerd loins are tingling.
Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to take one more break. But, I mean, man, God, we are having so much fun. I'm so glad you guys are here.
We're glad to be here. Thank you guys for having us.
Absolutely.
It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I'm hoping next time we have some kitty action. Uh-oh.
It's the cat.
This is Leonard Skinner. He says hello.
Nice name.
Oh,
hell yeah.
Oh, please don't bump the microphone.
It's a good way to sign off with the kitty. All right. Well, we will be back.
What do you say?
I'll leave it up to the dungeon master. A satanic fungus that looks suspiciously like Al Pacino rises from the forest floor and says, "You're playing D&D. You're playing D&D. This whole apartment is playing D&D."
Hey guys, we are back from our another break, and we were just talking right before we came on air, and Drew asked me a question, and I feel like he should probably ask it while we're recording. So Drew, go ahead.
Okay, so my wife and I we've adopted our my sister-in-law, her sister, and like we've been parenting and like going through that journey, and we know that our two friends here also have children. So I wanted to know, at what point during parenting do you feel like you know what you're doing? Because I fully have not hit that yet.
Okay, so Josh said never. Well, I have a different answer because I have a 9-year-old.
I still don't know where the diaper goes, so.
Well, wait, your kid even wears diapers? I thought they just kind of free ranged it all over the floor.
I thought it was a hat, like the ears are exposed, so like she can still hear, but she just can't see.
So I have a 9-year-old, I have a 4-year-old, and I have a 3-year-old, and a death wish. No. I feel like we really did not know what we were doing until we had our second, because when you have your first, you're like, I don't know anything at all. And then when you have your second, you're like, okay, I've done this before, and it just feels easier. It just felt easier. Like, I think it's because you know, you gained XP, you leveled up, you know, so you feel like you're like, all right, I've done, because okay, I had my daughter when I was 21. And I had never held a baby before in my life before that. Yeah. Never changed a diaper. Well, actually, it's like I've never held a baby. But
so
I've changed
scared.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I have a picture of myself holding my cousin's baby, and I look terrified.
It's so we watched some footage. Like, my wife took video of, like, we're at the hospital, you're gonna be here, and like, because she got induced, because her body was like, I'm never gonna give this baby away. Like, it's gonna be like in my body forever. So we had to get her induced because she was going too far along. The baby was getting too big, and because my wife's not very big, and so she was starting to like. Anyways, so we're getting her induced, and she's taking footage, and then I'm over there like, hey, like, I look horrified because I was, and it's funny because I'll look back on that footage and I'm just like literally pacing, and just. Hey, can't wait to meet you. I'm so scared. So terrifying. And then I didn't eat for 3 days after we had her because I was still terrified. Like, I was so scared. But it's weird because it's like you're scared, but at the same time you're like, this is insanely amazing. Like, holding this, like, this is crazy. But then at the same time, like, I don't think I'm going to eat anymore because I'm just scared. And like, my stomach feels like all naughty. And, yeah. But then it's funny because with my second, and I don't mean to go on a long rant, I'm sorry. But with my second and with my third, I was like, whatevs, eating hamburgers. like, it was so different. Like, whenever we had my second one, because I don't know if y'all are around the burger place called P. Terry's. I don't know if that's a thing. Okay, basically they sell hamburgers, and they're really well priced. So I would like walk out of the hospital and go next door to like this P. Terry's burger joint and get like 2 orders of fries and 2 hamburgers because I eat a lot. And I'm sitting there like eating hamburgers, like, she just gave birth like 4 hours ago, and I'm just like, oh, well, it looks good. Everything's just great, you know. But it's crazy. So I would say, long story long. I feel like you kind of know what you're doing after you've had your first, and you have your second, and you kind of have things to compare, you know.
Well,
Set
okay.
for teenagers. Got it.
So hold on.
Yeah.
Nick's
My thing is,
clearly
like,
different there.
Whenever,
though.
like, I'm not afraid of like messing up. I'm afraid of messing up super bad. As like, I was the firstborn and I was the oldest of 5, and like, I have legally died once, and I was dropped as a baby. There's a story about that whole thing. So I was like, I just don't want to like do that. I was like, I have to stay out of that zone. I was like, they're like, you turned out all right. I'm like, yeah. But like, I was like, yeah, I did die that one time. I will not let that go. It was not cool.
Yeah.
My parents just winged it. I'm the youngest of 4. And I think by the time that I came around, they were like, she'll figure it out.
That's
Do
how
what you
we
want,
are.
peasant.
Right.
That's
They're
how
like,
that's
"Okay,
how
you
we
good?
are too.
You good?
Yep.
She's
Like-
good. She's fine.
Like with my 3, with our 9-year-old, we were like, you can't do anything. Like we're like in control of everything. And with my boy who is 3, he'd be like, he just ate popcorn off the floor. Fuck it, he's fine. Like,
It's the
it's-
immune system.
I mean, it's
Yeah, absolutely. I let my kid like eat anything off the floor. Like shit, dude. The fastest land mammal is when you ask her what she has in her mouth.
Like a
Runs
cat
the
or a
other
dog,
way.
just like, what's in your mouth? I said, what's in your mouth?
Yeah, like what do you mean? What? So like just starts running. She's crazy, but no, I don't know, because I had 2 younger sisters, and I helped take care of them a lot, and it never really fazed me. I will say though, in the delivery room, I was passed out at one point in the recliner, and I woke up and there's
passed out because you were like nervous, or passed out because you're just like,
I was sleeping on the recliner.
this is boring.
Oh no, it gets better. I wake up, there's 3 nurses in the room, and they're like doing all sorts of stuff. First off, I hate hospitals. I hate like doctors' offices. I don't like being in those atmospheres. Gets me really high anxiety. So the 3 of them are in there, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? They're like, oh, she's getting ready to push. And I'm like,
I'm going back out again later.
yeah, like, so I started like, okay, this is it. And so like I stood up, and I don't know if it's like because like it was just me waking up, the initial shock, and like quickly standing up, but like I just like I got so nauseous, and so I went to the bathroom, threw up, and I was like, okay, I'm good, I'm ready. Let's do this.
Oh God.
So what you're saying is you made it all about you. It's all about
No, not even. Dude, I held her hand throughout the entire time she was pushing and all that, but I tried not to look. The nurse realized that, and she's like, "Oh, the kid's hair is blonde," and I was like, "What?" Because like we both have black hair.
Oh, that's fucked up.
I looked, and like, dude, I was like, like,
Oh God.
it's
Like, what
terrifying.
is that now? Like, this is like the expectation.
Terrifying. And like, you know, I know they're supposed to have a cone head as they're coming out, but it was like a cone head. Like I was like, holy shit. So, and man, the nurse, she like throws the scissors at me. Here, cut this. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't go to school for this. I don't want to do this. And cutting through that, the umbilical cord is the weirdest thing. But
it's like chewy.
yeah. Aside,
I know that. I know that because I gnawed on it. I didn't have scissors.
that's nasty.
Yeah, you'll get to
Bye,
be fine
guys.
with D&D if you've been through that. Walk in the park.
Yeah, but I mean, after that whole like blur of what's going on with my life now, I felt it wasn't too bad to get into. Like, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to have all the answers. I do feel more at ease because my wife is a nurse. So, like, health-wise, I feel like, okay, it's under control. Maybe if she wasn't a nurse, I'd be a little more concerned. But I'm also in the generation of like, hey, you see that pile of dirt? let's go fucking play in it.
Yeah.
So like we're getting ringworm playing in the rainwater puddles, and like I'm from that generation. So
Drew's pretty much said the only thing that's not allowed to happen when we eventually do have a child of our own is that they're not allowed to go eat random pieces of things growing out of the ground, because I got myself in trouble as a toddler doing that. Because as a 2 or 3 year old who had learned that salads are a thing, growing up as both the oldest and youngest, because my grandparents raised me, and my grandmother was an immigrant from Greece who grew up in a village, and so they had lots of like gardens and stuff, and so like the concept of like you can't eat things that grow out of the ground here was very foreign to her, and thus very foreign to toddler me. So I learned about salads, and I saw some cool looking clovers, and I ate them. Because I wasn't being watched, and apparently they were covered in pesticides, and then I ended up in the hospital that night. So as long as we don't do that, I think it'll be okay.
Don't dress it up. Don't dress it up. Like, oh, I saw some cool looking clovers. You ate.
I said
grass.
That. Yeah, I mean, I ate the clovers because I thought
ate grass out of the grass.
I thought it was like salad, because I was like,
she was grazing the yard.
So the world really
like, no one told me not to. I was like, no one told me not to, but I still knew to not do it.
I mean, like in your own backyard, it's safe because you know you're not putting pesticides back there. Like, I'll let my kid eat some stuff. Again.
We had other things. We had fig trees. We had peach trees. We had a vegetable garden. So like we had things growing out of the ground. How was I supposed to know those particular ones were not okay?
Not a very smart toddler.
Yeah. As a kid, I had some older friends that lived on the street that we would play outside with. So they would, they had some little older kid money. They were like, "Hey, you want to make $5? Yeah. What do you got? And eat this worm." Okay.
Done.
Yeah. No problem. No problem. Downed worms. And so I've eaten a few worms. And I am not proud to say I would never do it again. And like nowadays, I'm like kind of squeamish with them.
I've eaten worms, but they were covered in chocolate, and I had to because it was for an internship, and they were like, "You can't leave here today unless you try these."
Oh my God.
I'm gonna need to know what job that was in a moment, but I will admit I have eaten one cockroach.
Oh,
so I've had crickets, I've had worms, and you've had ants.
I've been fed ants in the form of a chocolate bar without being told.
But see, you guys are having these prepared. I'm grabbing them right off the ground outside.
Natural.
Like, this looks good. Okay.
Just Lion Kinging it up in here.
Oh yeah, best
made bugs look good.
They did.
I've eaten a scorpion.
Wait, what?
Shit, hold on. What?
Yeah, I need to know that story.
Everyone, no more talking. Now Katie does her thing.
I mean, so there are these lollipops, all right? And the lollipops have a real bug in the middle.
Yeah, I've seen those at Men in Black on Universal Ride.
Yes.
They sell them.
So they do. And so mine had a scorpion in it, and I've eaten a candied scorpion before.
Nice.
Wow.
So now I need to know, though, what kind of job were you going to get that had to have you eat a chocolate-covered worm?
Okay, so, I was really interested in science as a high schooler, and so I ended up with a summer internship when I graduated at, like, a science museum for kids. And so we had recently gotten in these different prepared mealworms and crickets and other things. And one of the things we had to do as interns was hold these like random acts of science where we basically rolled a cart out onto the floor and had like cool little displays we would do with the kids. And one of those happened to be, now that we had these edible bugs, feeding kids bugs. And because we had to give them to other people, we had to know what they tasted like, what the texture was like. And so we all had to run all of these carts. And so unless you had certain allergies, you had to try them. And so part of the internship was eating the bugs. So I've had spicy mealworms, I've had chocolate-covered mealworms, and I've had chocolate-covered crickets. I will say the chocolate-covered ones are way better. They basically just taste like stale candy bars. I don't really like spicy food, so I wasn't a fan of the spicy mealworms. Those were a little bit more but I like the chocolate ones. They weren't bad.
I don't like food that hurts me.
They got any like cheese powder crickets or something?
Do the cheese powder.
Yeah, that sounds good. I feel like that would make it really good.
So
I have a hedgehog, so I constantly have bugs on hand. I've got waxworms and mealworms and superworms and dubia roaches and
yeah, I used to have mealworms for my my bearded dragon for a while, but man, that thing was like eating my little middle school pocket out of money.
Yeah. My son, who is 3, he's my youngest, and he's insane. So like when they say like girls and boys are like different growing up, I didn't believe them. Honestly, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna raise them. I mean, they'll become different over time, but as toddlers and shit, I feel like it won't be that different. I was wrong, very wrong. And this is one of the reasons when I knew. So when all of my children were toddlers, I would do something. I would take and I still do this to them. We go outside and we look for shit outside, bugs, grass, flowers, like look at stuff and check stuff out and like dig in the ground and like look at what you're stepping on and like just kind of check it all out. I've done that with all of my kids. I did it with my 9-year-old, my 4-year-old, and then I did it with Jude. And when I was out there with Jude, my 3-year-old, I'm like, hey, look, oh, dude, look, a roly-poly. And I pick it up and I'm holding it. And he's like, whoa. And I'm like, yeah, dude, look, it's crawling. Hold your hand out. He's like, he holds his hand out and he goes, it just eats it like it's just nothing.
Oh,
and
no. He's like, what does it taste like? Obviously, I need to know what the texture of a roly-poly is.
And I told him, I was like, dude, you don't eat them. And he's like, we got more? And I'm, no.
Hey, man, you liked it.
Oh, God.
I mean,
that's cheap food right there. That's good snacking.
Like,
oh, man.
Yeah, so I told my wife about that, and she's like, yep, boys are different because my girls, they play with roly-polies and be like, bye-bye, and they put it back and like, bye, and he's just like, ah!
Let me eat it. I need to know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll eat it. Can it grow my strength if I consume it?
I'll have to wait and see because my daughter she will put just about anything any crumb, any little tiny object she finds on the floor right in her mouth. Like I sometimes don't have time to even get to her. So like whatever's there, she ate it. It's there.
There's another funny story too. You guys are obviously, y'all know Target everywhere. They sell popcorn and shit in the store. And my wife was at the checkout line with just my 4-year-old, who at the time was 3, maybe 2. And they're at the checkout line, and my wife is like buying the shit, and she hears our daughter go, "Oh yeah, popcorn!" And she turns around, and my daughter is eating popcorn off the Target floor in the aisle.
No!
The checkout. Like, oh. Because my wife was like, God, we didn't get any popcorn.
I'm just soaking up like parental wisdom because like we adopted Sophie and like she was like 10 or 11 at the time, and like we kind of like jumped in on like just the deep end of like. Yeah, she's becoming a teenager, so like fucking handle that. And like it was a huge learning curve for me, especially because I'm very stupid. And so like she
welcome to the Mindless Morning Show.
We'd be getting along and then she'd like run off the room and she'd be like upset and I'll be like, what happened? And then she would be like, she thinks you called her fat. And I was like, I just said stop eating all my chips.
No.
So I'm going to go ahead and rephrase my answer for you, Drew, from earlier when you asked when I know, like when you know. In your case, never. Because you are in a realm I'm not there yet. I have a 9-year-old. That's my oldest. I don't have a teenager. I mean, she tries to be a teenager, but I'm not there yet. So you're on your own right now, bud.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
But I will say teenagers are funny and amazing, and they do all kinds of great things where they'll walk in the room and say something, and you have to look back at them like, wait, I'm sorry, I need you to repeat whatever it was you just said, because I clearly heard you wrong, and there's no way you just came into the room, said, possums are the devil, and then walked back like nothing, like just the weirdest stuff. And they're so funny, and it's a trip every day. You never know what's gonna come out of their mouth.
Like they'll come in and I was like, I know you're not high because we have the relationship where you would let me know.
Right.
But sometimes we think.
And yet.
Well, hey, that shows you're on the right track, though. When you already know, like you have that relationship where you already know that they'll tell you stuff like that. That's how you know you're on the right track, because that's one of the biggest things is trust and knowing, like, if they have a problem, if it's something big, they will come to you and not try to hide it or try to deal with it themselves if it's bigger than them.
And the most important thing to keep that trust, and I know this from really bad experience as being the older brother that I am, you can't overreact. You're gonna have to keep your reactions very calm, cool, and collective and level-headed, so that they keep trusting to come back to you, because your sister's going to come home with some boyfriend you don't really approve of. You're going to lose your shit and you're never going to talk to him again. So,
Drew's like, shit.
Because now she's like, she's 15 now, right?
Yeah.
Now she's like 15, and like we've gotten to like that stage, and this is like, I had like one in particular moment, and that like it wasn't even like, it wasn't even that I didn't like the girl that she was like interested in. It was that like they had like a fight, they had like their little like, their breakup and everything, and she was like, maybe I could like win her back. And I was like, I remember vividly being exactly where you are right now, and I cannot express to you with words how bad an idea this is. And she's like, I'm gonna do it, and I was like, please don't do it. I love you so much.
Every situation
you're going to feel.
Yeah.
Every situation is gonna be different, and quite honestly, like I think we all know, we never took really. I mean, I never took my parents' advice. They would always say, "Oh, you shouldn't do that." Oh, okay. Don't touch that. Okay, don't touch that. And so, I mean, they're gonna learn from their own experiences. It happens.
Yeah.
And like the worst part is like they come in and like you're like you feel so much for them, and you're just like, oh my poor baby, but you can't say, I mean, I told you, I don't know what to, like, I really like laid it out for you. Like we had to like we talked for like an hour,
God.
and I like laid out every part.
Do you not remember last week's conversation?
Like, I got it right 1,000%. You can't say that.
Oh my God.
Just so you know, you look really dumb right now.
yeah. I mean, you can't tell them, unfortunately. But I mean, it is what it is. That's probably the hardest thing about being a parent is you're gonna have to watch them hurt, no matter what. And we can't prevent that, but we can be there for them. That's the best we can do.
Are we like being mindful instead of mindless right now?
Well, this is this is parental reasons. This is there was parental advice asked.
I can't actually tie this back to D&D, funny enough. So one of the things that we actually had Jordan share a meme earlier, it was just like, hey, plot development. Oh, that's awesome. What kind of plot development? Emotional turmoil. Just all of it. Just we are all three of us the worst at making characters that have the most tragic backstories, that have to go through the most, and just like you're raising kids or teenagers, and they have to go through all of this, and you have to watch them. It's just like watching your character go through this and knowing, as you, the person who knows what they're going through, but having to react as them and realistically do like, okay, I would not do this, but my character is going to be like, I'm going to go talk to this person that I know is a bad person. I know is a bad person, but they don't know is a bad person. And it's just, it's so many different layers. And, I guess, another part of being a DM is being able to throw those things at your players and know that they're going to take it and not, what we call metagame, where knowledge outside of it and do things that your character wouldn't do. And it's just another layer of being, involved in the game and knowing when you can and can't do certain things. It's like parenting in a way, where you're creating the story and you're parenting the story, and now you have to run with it and make it work, even if you wouldn't do it.
I can totally see it.
I think one of my favorite moments from the podcast is I made Christina cry tears of happiness because that my character did for
I was
her
like,
character.
whoa, okay.
No, my character did something super nice for her character, and her character was so overwhelmed that Christina herself started crying.
Yeah.
Dang, that's how you know you got really immersed. So
Yeah.
But before we wrap it up, I wanted to ask one question about D&D that I didn't ask quite yet. So you guys have your essentially your main characters, right? And is there a way that they could actually die and not?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh shit.
We fully can die at any point during the campaign. If we fuck up too hard, we will die.
Yeah.
There are
So
actual
if you-
stakes.
And
So
what
it's
what does that player get to do after they die?
You
make
create
a new character, or like it varies depending on the situation.
Yeah, so there's different steps that have to happen before you fully die, right? So, you have, just like any video game or whatever, you have HP, you have hit points, or health points. And so if you lose the health points in a battle or through whatever, and you are down to 0, you are fainted, basically. So you're unconscious. And at that point, either another player can use their turn to give you healing and you can come up or do whatever, and then you're okay. Or if no one can get to you and your next turn comes around in battle, you have to start rolling what are called death saving throws. And so basically, I think it's like, is it 10
or
under,
above, and
10 or above,
under.
10 or above you pass, and then under 10 you fail. And so you roll 3 different times, and there's different things that your DM can either have happen either before battle or during battle that can give you more or less death saving throws. And so if you fail a death saving throw, that's 1, and you get 3. So you basically have to pass, I think it's 2 of 3, but some campaigns do 3 of 3, it just depends, in order to come up. And so at that point you come up and I think you have 1 HP, or you're just basically like, you're stable. You can't really do much, but you're stable and you're not going to
run away.
If you die. If you get 3 death saving throws, or if another player character, like an evil NPC or whatever, attacks you while you're making death saving throws, it's an automatic death saving throw. So you automatically fail. So if you get 3 of 3 or 2 of 3, depending on the campaign, then you're dead. Your character's gone. And there's characters you can in-game, either there's spells if you're running that kind of a campaign where you can revive a character or bring them back, either like reincarnated as another race, just depending on the spell, there's different ones.
Oh, wow.
Or you just re-roll a new character and all of a sudden, Gary Sue has to meet the party in the bar and now we have to figure out a way to make this work. So
all of a sudden a new character's just like, oh, hey, like,
yeah, there's battle happening.
I'm Greg. Hey, that guy's dead. Is we have a very good time.
I was just exploring this here cave and found a pickaxe. Like, all right, well now you're in. Come on.
Yeah,
He
basically.
loves that accent. That is his favorite accent to do.
Masticate Dobby a sock.
This one.
I hate it so
What
much.
I should say,
I hate it.
Oh.
shit shows.
So you guys like completely stay in character?
When I say that particular
So
shit.
when we're talking or role playing, we stay in character. Although we'll be like in our own person, we'll say, Saith wants to do this.
Okay.
Like she wants to go up to the bar. Saith wants to go get drunk. Saith wants to go murder somebody. Like that's
Interesting.
we would say that out of character.
Typical Monday.
Yeah, exactly. She actually keeps a doodle book of all the people that she's taken care of.
Dang.
Well, our time is running low, and man, I really wish we could go longer because I'm having a fucking blast with you guys. But I want to give you the remainder of the time to talk all about your podcast and tell all our viewers about it.
Yeah,
Well,
for
if you
sure.
guys want to know more about us, our podcast, as previously stated, is called Agents of Damned. We have a Twitter at Agents of D.
Mhm.
Our Instagram is Agents of Damned.
Mhm.
Okay, and then we have a website at www.wordpress.com/Agents of Damned.
And we post, I'm catching up, but we have most of our transcripts currently up to episode 15 of, I think, 20 at the moment. 20. We also have a Patreon, and so we release episodes a week early on our Patreon. And there's also a special behind-the-scene episode that we do on our Patreon that you get access to, where we talk about our thoughts behind the show. And so on the website, you can find more information about that, as well as any of the transcripts if you might need them. But yeah, we are also currently actually almost at 500 followers on Twitter. And so we're going to be running a giveaway soon for a set of dice.
Nice.
So if anyone wants to come comment on the post, we're trying to figure out one of the sets of dice is going to be based off of one of our NPCs. So we want to see what other people think after listening to the show. And eventually, once we hit that 500 mark, we'll have more information about that giveaway.
That's awesome. And so one thing that we always do here too is we will put every single link that you want us to put in the description, send it to Joshy Boo, and he'll post it. Every link that you guys want on there. So
Joshy Boo.
Joshy Boo. I called you that earlier today on Discord, and you were like, "I like that," and now you don't like it.
No.
Wow.
You can't say it in public like this. There's more viewers here than in our Discord. So,
Okay. Fair enough.
Speaking of Discord, we also have one that we've started. It's on our Twitter, and so if fans want to come and share fan art, as long as we would like the fan art to be PG, please, because I don't want to have to sift through anything that's more than like PG-13. But we do talk about we do talk about character theories and conspiracies.
Like, calm down.
My personal favorite. I am the conspiracy theorist of the group for our campaign. Yeah, that when they say I don't sleep, I'm just up all the time, being like, what's going to happen next? And so on our Discord, but then also for you guys in the podcast Discord, we have our own little thing there, and so you guys can find all of the links there if you need them.
Awesome.
well, I will be joining that Discord, and I will send only PG pictures, I guess.
He won't. No, I'm just kidding.
That was actually one question we didn't get to, since we have just a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever had any random like sex scenes in any of your campaigns that like you had to roll to like nail her or something?
I haven't. I don't know about you.
So if we're like actually in Agents of Damn during our Halloween episode, there is
Oh yeah.
We don't do like a graphic sex scene. Yeah, Katie's like looking like, oh shit, I forgot I did that. Yeah, you did that shit.
Oh, what did you do?
And the character where she rolled like, I had not intended for this character to be anything other than exposition. And then Katie rolled a little bit too well on their charisma check. And then they had a sexual encounter in which if they rolled too low, they would have died.
Yep. But if you want to know more about it, you have to go listen to that Halloween episode, because I know we're running low on time.
There you go.
Yeah,
It's worth it. It's very worth it.
Well,
that's insane.
We're really, really glad that you were able to come on and hang out with us, and we could talk.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll have you guys back on for sure, because this has been really fun. And
this isn't a one-off. We're doing multiple campaigns.
I already said that, Josh. You can't steal my thing. I said this is a
Stealing jokes, Josh. How could you?
yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought we all forgot. You guys need to drink more.
Yeah, there you go.
Come now. You cannot steal the jokes.
That's gonna be my character. I'm gonna be the whiskey guy.
Perfect.
Whiskey guy. Awesome, guys. Well, y'all have a good rest of your evening, and we will definitely be talking more for sure.
Yes.
Yes, for sure.
It's been so exciting. So thanks again for joining, and bye, everybody.
Hello, everyone. This is your sometimes benevolent, often malevolent dungeon master, Jordan Roman. I'm the host of a real play Dungeons & Dragons podcast called Agents of Damned. Set in the near future of the world of Faerun, our campaign follows 3 adventurers working to prevent calamities and disasters from arising before they can ever become a threat. Join Saith, the sneaky tiefling rogue with an eternal smile, Winterra Darknight, the Ursine druidic forest guardian with a taste for knees, and the good Dr. Arlo Aegon, a clerical dragonborn with a heart and hide of gold, as they try to protect the world from unknown forces and try to adjust to their new jobs as members of the Department of Adventurers Maintaining Normality and Eradicating Debacles, or, as they're more commonly known, Damned. We release new episodes every other Friday and can be found on Buzzsprout, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you download podcasts. Until then, bye!